Hello, and welcome to the Supremus Group's presentation of its newest certification training program, the Certified CyberSecurity Awareness Professional, in which we will explore a variety of topics in cybersecurity and privacy that cover assets, threats to them, and how to defend against them. During this course, I will present security issues and concerns that are very real and very active today. As the world has grown more automated and connected, the more widely spread the threats and impacts to business and government have become also. I will also present details concerning how to recognize a given threat and take positive action to prevent you and your organization from becoming victimized by it. You may find that there are many points with which you are already familiar, and that would be very good if you do. We want to build on that awareness, expand upon it, and provide you additional knowledge and actions that you can take to prevent these from causing harm. We will cover all areas that you will find on the exam to attain your CCAP certification, which you will put on your way to becoming an even stronger asset to your organization and the protection of the most vital asset of all, its information. So let's get started. Next slide. Here's the first page of our topic agenda. You see we've covered the introduction, and then we're going to get into the subject areas, our working conditions, social media, social engineering, next slide, malware, physical security concerns, and then system and device security. Next slide. It has become very common knowledge that computing today, which almost always seems to include, even require, access to the Internet, grows increasingly risky. This seems particularly true for businesses that access, store, or transmit information over this planet-wide network, and yet individuals face the same risks as these businesses do, and potentially with more costly and more damaging consequences. There are many briefings and advisory notices that have been published over the years that discuss the ways and means to recognize threats and then take prompt, effective defensive action to protect oneself, your system, and data against them being successful in their attacks. These briefings often say the same things, but none have come across as being a comprehensive source for this guidance. More to the point, they have not always provided strong guidance about understanding how these threats arise, the course they follow, and the best solution to deal with them, except in cases where that guidance involved selling the reader on a particular product. This course has been designed to provide the best in sound, effective guidance that covers the essentials of safeguarding persons, data, the systems on which one relies for performance and communication. This course is intended to prepare the attendee to pass the CCAP examination and, coupled with the required minimum experience, attain the CCAP certification. A holder of the CCAP certification has demonstrated mastery of the essential knowledge in order to prevent these attacks and provide advice to support the enterprise efforts to elevate its workforce's awareness and effectiveness in defending its information assets against the most common threats seeking its compromise and theft. So let's move on and let's start your preparation. Next slide. Now in this course we're going to cover several topics of the greatest concern today for the mobile and remote workforce. We're going to cover what the threats are, what the threats are targeting, what practices leave you vulnerable, and what measures make you safer. There are many things that we do or don't do that leave us and our workplaces open to these hostile elements. And while no protection program can ever be expected to be perfect or bulletproof, there are many things we can do right now to improve its effectiveness. Next slide. So let's start by seeing who should be taking this training and why. As we've said, technology alone cannot protect you from these threats. Attackers typically look for the weakest link, and they go where the security is weakest. Humans are, of course, considered to be the weakest link in this chain of protective measures. People are a link in the chain, and they are also the first line of defense. It is essential that we treat this as a way of reducing our cybersecurity risk of compromise. So, cybersecurity awareness is for who then? It's for employees, it's for seniors, it's for business owners, it's for parents, it's for kids. The simplest way to say it is, this is for everyone. Next slide. So what is cybersecurity awareness training? Certainly everyone, it would seem, is aware that cybersecurity is very much a live issue today. This is because criminals take advantage of your trust, fear, greed, and plain old human error. Security awareness training teaches you to spot fakes, avoid risks online, and use good cyber hygiene practices at home and at work. Next slide. Okay, we know this is here, we know it's real, so why does it matter, might be your question. Well, the world is getting more digital. Every day we see headlines to this effect. This is happening in business, banking, healthcare, pretty much everywhere, and they're all going much more online. Crime, therefore, is following the very same trend, usually tracking down fresh victims. There are worldwide ransomware attacks. There are high-profile attacks in the news, which we read about every day in our magazines and newspapers, and, of course, news published on the web. And there are phishing emails, which are getting more and more sophisticated every day. These are all subjects we're going to cover during the course of this seminar. As a result, there are new privacy laws and regulations being enacted that affect us all. And many industries have realized how important this is, and they're beginning to require training for compliance, as well as to ensure that their information and their employees and their businesses are just that much safer. Next slide. Well, now that we know why it matters, who are these so-called bad actors? Well, to put it simply, a bad actor is a person, an organization, or even a nation-state that uses various methods and tools to achieve their goals through these attacks on computer systems and networks, both in business and in government. Among the techniques used, we find system cracking, or commonly called hacking. These are attempts to gain entry and access to systems by using methods to, quite literally, break in. There is also the delivery of malware and its form of ransomware to further their attempts to gain access to and gain control of these target systems. Then we have social engineering, which is a family of attacks involving deceptive manipulation of another person to obtain credentials or sensitive information to assist, again, their attacks on the target system. There are several types of bad actors, and each has a slightly different goal. Virtually all types use a combination of technical, physical, and social techniques to accomplish their plans. Next slide. So let's look at some of who these bad actors are. We have ones that are called black hats. These are the archetypal hacker trying to exploit cybersecurity vulnerabilities through online robbery and extortion, or by stealing credentials in data breaches. We have a class called script kiddies. Sometimes these are treated as though they're unimportant. The fact is they're newcomers or amateurs. They're ones who don't yet know the ropes of professional hacking, but the problem is that's exactly what they're learning. We have a group called hacktivists, and you may have heard of one group known as Anonymous. These are organizations whose members use their computer skills to access networks with a political or social agenda in mind. We have organized crime, and though this may sound a bit bombastic or dramatic, it is quite true that organized crime is out there, and they're taking advantage of all of this. So it is just what it